Hello everyone, my name is Ian Lamont. I'm the founder of i30 Media Corporation, which publishes EasyGenie genealogy forms. Today I'm going to be talking about genealogy pedigree charts. And you may be wondering, what is it? So here's an example of a pedigree chart that my company produces, a 4-generation large print pedigree chart. And the idea is you start on the left with your main person, who's number 1. You have their information. You put in their name here. You put in information about where they're born, when and where they died, when and where they were married, the spouse. Then you put in the mother and the father, number 2 and number 3, of number 1. And then you go back further to the grandparents of number 1. That's number 4 and 5 and 6 and 7. And then to the great-grandparents, if you have that information. And usually the further you go back, the less information you have available. But in the case of these genealogy forms, you can actually squeeze in a little bit more information if you know it. You can annotate them in the margins. Or maybe you can also put in a note like, okay, this is the 4-generation pedigree chart for Jim Smith, number 1, but for his wife, Kate Smith, check out the other pedigree chart that I've created for it. These would be handwritten pedigree charts, although it is possible also to get a computer-generated pedigree chart from your software program you use, or maybe from Ancestry or something like that. But please note that one issue with using computer-generated pedigree charts from software is if something happens to your computer, or if the service you're using changes its conditions, or maybe they have some sort of data breach or some other disaster, you might lose all of that data unless you've printed it out or saved it in some other format. So these paper genealogy forms that we produce at EasyGenie, they're produced in archival quality paper. They're designed to last for decades, if not much longer than that. So we really think about long-term preservation here. So this is a 4-generation pedigree chart, but it's also possible to find pedigree charts that go back much further than that. This is another pedigree chart that we create called the 8-generation pedigree chart. And this is the inset over here. You can see the detail a little bit better. But this is a giant form. I mean, this has spaces for hundreds of names going back 8 generations. Of course, it gets a little bit tough to do the names and the dates when you're far back as the 8th generation. But some people manage to squeeze it in there. And then, of course, here's the detail. It looks very similar to the 4-generation pedigree charts shown earlier. And you may be asking, well, where do I find the information to fill out a pedigree chart? Well, the obvious place to start is with your relatives, people you know. You can interview them. Maybe bring over a photo album or some other documents to talk about them, and that might jog their memory a little bit, or give you some ideas about what questions to ask or where else you can find the information. So talking with relatives is a great place to start. Old photos and documents, look on the back of the photo. Sometimes there's names or dates on there. Ancestry and family search. A lot of people do their research online. They can be great sources of information, although sometimes it leads down a rabbit hole that you can never emerge from. The key is actually once you find data on one of those services, you write it down. And using one of these pedigree charts is a great way to do that. Vital records. This could be a birth record, death record, marriage record. Religious records could be from a church or a temple or some other source, including cemeteries, which if the gravestones are readable and you can find them, those can be great sources for names and dates and sometimes family members. Newspapers. You can find out birth information, birth announcements, and sometimes obituaries, which have dates and other information you can put on the pedigree chart. And then census returns also have important information. For more information on different types of charts, including fan charts, pedigree charts, family group sheets, and some free downloads, check out easygenie.org. Lots of great resources to learn more about how to use these resource materials, as well as to check out some of the forms that we offer for sale. And as I mentioned before, the free downloads that are available too. easygenie.org. Thank you so much for watching.